From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
We take you inside the heated gubernatorial debate between incumbent Governor Doug Ducey, Democratic challenger David Garcia, and Green Party candidate Angel Torres.
Plus, the deadline to register to vote is just 2 weeks away. Citizens in the Valley are joining the national effort to register people to vote.
A new bill is opening up research opportunities to fight valley fever. We'll take you inside the laboratories searching for a vaccine.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Jordan Daphnis.
And I'm Matt Lively. Thank you for joining us. Gubernatorial candidates Governor Doug Ducey, Democratic challenger David Garcia, and Green Party candidate Angel Torres are facing off this week ahead of the November elections. We're just a few hours from round 2 of the debates, which is tonight in Tucson. Last night was the first debate where the candidates sounded off on education. Reporter Tanaya Williamson takes us to the debate.
Last night's debate sparked heated conversation as candidates Angel Torres, David Garcia, and Governor Doug Ducey sat down to discuss the state of Arizona and why they feel they're right for the position of governor. The debate began with opening remarks from each candidate as they prepared to hash out some of Arizona's hot topics, education being at the top of that list.
I have to stand here or sit here and show you my record on K-12 education, the dollars I've been able to put in over the last 3 years. But David isn't talking at all about his plan.
Invite those 75,000 teachers who were out there to join me to go to the legislature and put another initiative on the ballot.
We can't afford to be subsidizing private school education. I'm all for if there are children with special needs in the program.
Moderator Ted Simons did his very best to keep the peace between candidates.
On a Wednesday, you mentioned that it was a political circus, and the next day went forward with 20 for 20. Why?
Let's get the facts straight on red for red. Let's get the facts straight.
Will you please stop interrupting?
The debate was dominated mainly by Republican Governor Doug Ducey and Democratic candidate David Garcia.
He's a college professor. He knows the power of words. This is why if you go to factcheckgarcia.com, you'll see David in his own words talk about his border plan.
Green Party candidate Angel Torres appeared to take a back seat during the debate, but spoke up when he felt the time was right, specifically on the topic of immigration.
We need to exponentially expand the number of work and student visas that are available to people when they come to this country. They shouldn't have to wait 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years to get a piece of paper that gives them freedom to make a better life for themselves and their families.
The debate ended with a statement of the conversation not being anything personal.
My issues aren't with you as a person. They are clearly with your policies.
I think we got to stop it right there.
Tomorrow night on Arizona Horizon at 5:30, you can see the candidates for state treasurer debate. On Thursday, those running for state attorney general will face off. In the broadcast center, Tanaya Williamson, Cronkite News.
While debates are happening for other races across the state, the candidates for U.S. Senate have yet to face off. Democratic nominee Kyrsten Sinema has agreed to 2 debates on Arizona PBS on October 15th and 16th. Republican Martha McSally has accepted a debate on CNN on October 15th, the same day as the debate on PBS. Both sides have yet to come to an agreement on when or where to debate.
Today is National Voter Registration Day across the country, and the deadline to register is just 2 weeks from today. Arizona is ranked towards the bottom when it comes to state voter participation, coming in at 43 out of 50. In Tempe, Arizona State University student government partnered with other student organizations to encourage students to register to vote. Only 20% of students voted in 2014, and in order to increase that percentage, volunteers assured students that the registration process is not difficult.
It only takes a few minutes to get registered to vote, and then also just takes 15 minutes to sit down with your ballot and actually do the research.
The Voter Participation Center estimates that there are more than 1.4 million Arizonans eligible to vote who are still unregistered.
But when young voters do head to the polls, they won't find many representatives that look like them. That's the findings of a report released today by Generation Progress. It said young people are generally underrepresented in their state legislators. Cronkite News Washington, D.C. Bureau reporter Lillian Donahue gives an inside look at the lack of youth representation in our government.
Now, the chart behind me tells the story. These red bars are the percentages of eligible voters aged 35 and younger in both the nation and Arizona. However, those of the same age in the legislature is strikingly lower.
It was good to see the numbers of where we're at, but it also tells us where we should be.
Cardenas joined other young politicians and activists who spoke about a gap in state representation among millennial and minority voters.
We're certainly further along than most other states. And at the same time, the black community is woefully underrepresented. There's work to be done.
Maggie Thompson, the executive director for Generation Progress, said that reducing student loan debts and creating new policies like public campaign financing are ways to help more millennials seek office.
That we can't just think about young people as voters. We need to think about youth power more broadly and think about them not just as voters, but as having a seat at the table, and how can we structurally make that happen.
Cardenas started the bipartisan Arizona Future Caucus, lawmakers under 40 who focus on the concerns of young voters across the state. He says that while Arizona ranks third in the nation for number of women lawmakers, it has a way to go for millennial and minority representation in office.
And no one's going to tell you, here's the seat for the black and brown community. Have it. You have to take it.
In Washington, Lillian Donahue, Cronkite News.
One other point from the report, older generation lawmakers tend to be less diverse demographically, which contributes to the problem.
Now is the best time in 50 years to look for a job, economic experts say. Reporter Charisma Sandoval talks to them about the future of Arizona's economy and housing market.
Economic experts in Phoenix today assured Arizona companies that the economy is booming. They say Arizona is following a national trend of record low unemployment rates and a housing market driven by millennials.
The economy's good, your wages are going to be going up, and it's simply about as good as the economy can get right now in terms of the availability of jobs, and there'll be upward pressure on labor prices because of that.
Elliot Pollock, a veteran Arizona economist, said education, health services, construction, and manufacturing are among the jobs prospering in Arizona's economy.
We're going to be creating 60,000 jobs this year, close to 60,000 jobs next year. That's a lot of jobs.
Jim Hunsinger, chief investment officer at a financial services firm, gave a national perspective on the economy, saying low unemployment rates like the ones we're seeing in Arizona are a national trend.
The employment situation in this economy is really good, and if I'm going to have one thing that's working real well, it would be that we're putting more and more Americans back to work.
Pollock said he's also optimistic about the housing market in Arizona, as about 61% of people in Phoenix can afford the median-priced home.
What is selling is affordable housing, and again, small lot, lower-priced homes. That's where the market is.
Pollock says millennials are driving the housing demand, and their habits are changing as they're paying off student debts and benefiting from the stronger economy.
Essentially, 30% of millennials are out of the housing market at the moment. Over time, they will come back, adding even more demand.
This is a demand that experts say will continue to rise, with 95% of that younger demographic planning to own a home someday. In Phoenix, Charisma Sandoval, Cronkite News.
Pollock says this booming economy cannot last forever and a recession is inevitable, but it's not likely to occur in 2019.
Nearly 2/3 of all cases of valley fever are reported here in Arizona.
Coming up on Cronkite News, how tens of millions of dollars are now on the way to help researchers stop one of the valley's most infectious diseases.
Plus, there were over 11,000 suspected opioid overdoses here in Arizona alone over the last year. The latest efforts to help addicts recover, just ahead.
Join Emmy Award-winning CNN anchor Anderson Cooper as he receives the 2018 Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism. Attracting industry leaders from the media, politics, business, and education, the award luncheon is the Cronkite School's signature fundraising event. Tickets for the luncheon ceremony on Wednesday, October 17th at the Sheraton Grand in Phoenix are available for sale at cronkite.asu.edu/luncheon or call 602-496-0482.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
If you're looking for one show that tells you what happened that day in the world of business, it's NBR.
We saw a classic shipwreck.
Nordstrom's opening stores.
Triple-digit gains.
Crude climbs.
We're there to help our audience find new investment ideas.
The market still has room to go up.
Nightly Business Report is the longest-running business television program in history.
Weeknights at 10:30 on Arizona PBS.
A new bill is aiming to provide research funding for a disease that rises from the soil. Cronkite News reporter Cammie Clark explains how the bill will help Arizona take the next steps in finding a cure for valley fever.
The new legislation would give $40 million to research for valley fever vaccine. But the vaccine may come for your pet before it is available to you.
Congressman David Schweikert says that the Forward Act of 2018 could advance research in valley fever if passes Congress.
It creates a focus and resources to actually take on valley fever for those of us here in Arizona. But the second thing, it also has this really interesting technology of how we capture data to actually head towards building that vaccine and new drug treatments.
Schweikert says Arizona and other states could receive $40 million in matching funds over 5 years for research into fungal diseases like valley fever. Another $5 million could be authorized to establish a blockchain pilot program to enable clinical research for valley fever.
It's this orphan disease that much of the rest of the country has never heard of, doesn't care about. And one of my personal passions is I am going to, through at least my position in Congress, find the resources to fund the research to see that we get a cure.
But canines will likely get a vaccine before humans.
Well, we are trying to get this vaccine approved through the USDA to help dogs. And I think there won't be a human vaccine until we accomplish that.
Schweikert says he and other members of Congress are still fighting to fund the valley fever battle.
Part of the goal of doing that was what resources were necessary, how do we make sure that the National Science Foundation and others have valley fever as one of their priorities, and then how do we use the legislative process to get the resources and access to the information to head towards that cure.
Schweikert hopes to present the bill to the House by the end of this year. Experts estimate a vaccine for dogs can come as soon as 4 years, but there is no set time frame for people. In the Broadcast Center, Cammie Clark, Cronkite News.
The opioid antidote Narcan can treat narcotic overdose in an emergency situation, which just might save a life. Cronkite News reporter Holly Bernstein went to the Celebrate the Art of Recovery Expo to find out how Valley residents can get access to a Narcan kit for free.
For me, I was very fortunate to have phenomenal parents.
Justin Luke Riley has been in long-term recovery from alcohol and drug abuse since November of 2007. This past weekend, the Celebrate the Art of Recovery Expo offered resources to Valley residents seeking recovery from all forms of addiction. The harm reduction organization Sonoran Prevention Works offers free Narcan and explained how to use it at the expo.
What you're going to do if you think someone is overdosing is you take your knuckles like this, you put it in a fist like that, and you're going to want to rub their sternum very vigorously.
If they do not respond, that means the person is overdosing.
You take one of the doses of Narcan out, you pop the orange cap off, you stick the needle in there, you suck up the whole dose. And this is intermuscular. It's Pretty much, it's designed to go somewhere where there's a little bit of meat, a little bit of muscle, so you want to stick it here.
Ryuta explains that you should give the recipient the entire dose, and if they do not respond within the first 2 minutes, you should give them the second dose. Riley says events like the Celebrate the Art of Recovery Expo are important because it shows people that there is hope, and people seeking recovery should not be afraid to get help.
I think my advice for people in or seeking recovery would really fall in line with doing a quick assessment of saying, if I'm trying to stop behaviors and I can't do that on my own, maybe I should get some more help.
In Phoenix, Holly Bernstein, Cronkite News.
Ryuta says you can contact Sonoran Prevention Works if you are interested in getting a free Narcan kit. Valley residents can also get access to Narcan through CVS Pharmacy. Raw sewage is leaking across the Mexican border into Naco, Arizona.
Coming up on Cronkite News, the pipeline problem that's causing trouble for the community and what they're doing to stop it up next.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is beginning to look a lot like fall in the southwest region, even up in northern Arizona. Black Valley temperatures coming up next.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles. In Cleveland.
In Washington. In Louisville.
From Jerusalem.
Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. The 2018 election season has arrived. Join us for primary and general election debates. Right here, meet the candidates and hear their positions. Arizona Horizon, your source for what matters most this election season. Only on Arizona PBS.
If you're looking for one show that tells you what happened that day in the world of business, it's NBR.
We saw a classic shipwreck.
Nordstrom's opening stores.
Triple-digit gains.
Crude climbs.
We're there to help our audience find new investment ideas.
The market still has room to go up.
Nightly Business Report is the longest running business television program in history.
Weeknights at 10:30 on Arizona PBS.
By the year 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Before Professor Halden, I had an insane amount of passion, but I almost felt helpless because I didn't know how to use it. Professor Halden gave me a chance to make a difference. Being at a place like ASU allows you to take these big leaps. Ultimately, the biggest problems in the world cannot be solved alone.
The border town of Naco, Arizona is once again dealing with a burst pipeline that's spilling 300 gallons of sewage every minute coming from the Mexican side. Now officials are looking for permanent solutions under difficult circumstances. Cronkite News reporter Brittany Watson went to Naco and shows us what they're dealing with.
Thousands of gallons of raw sewage are spilling into Naco, Arizona from Naco, Sonora every day, leaving residents wondering when this pipeline will be getting repaired and what health effects they may be facing because of it.
We have every right to defend our lives. You guys don't live here. We live here.
Hepatitis A, hepatitis B, tetanus. We also worry about viruses and parasites as well.
Back to the scope of the problem. Cochise County health officials hosted a town hall last Friday in Naco for residents, allowing them to express their frustrations about the leaking pipeline while discussing the plans to fix it. Authorities estimate repairs will last around 8 weeks.
So that's kind of an estimated time that we've been given. We don't know which agency is going to be responsible for that at all.
The leak started September 9th, but Naco has been dealing with spilled sewage for years. This latest incident triggered after a breach in a conveyance line used to transfer sewage from both sides of the border.
I like to tell the council for them to get together and do what's got to be done on the American side, and let them worry about the Mexican side.
County officials say there is a plan in place for repairs, but it comes with challenges.
We're kind of on standby right now because when that repair takes place, we're anticipating another flow to come across because they have to flush out the system.
Naco resident David Lloyd believes the answer to preventing this problem from happening again is to improve relations between the governments across the border.
Naco, Sonora and Naco, Arizona are very much the same community in some ways, extraordinarily. And we should take advantage of that, and we should use it positively.
In Naco, Brittany Watson, Cronkite News.
While authorities finalize repair plans, the first of several vaccination clinics set up by Cochise County health officials for Naco residents will be taking place this coming Friday.
It's tough to see those triple-digit temperatures when we should be celebrating the start of fall.
Alexis Leal is tracking our forecast.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are currently sitting at 100 degrees right now, hitting a dew point at 45 with winds blowing at 7 miles per hour. Looking at the day planner for tomorrow, 8 a.m., go ahead and bring out those tennis shoes because we're sitting in the low 80s, hitting at 101 by 4 p.m. And for the low temperatures throughout the valley tomorrow, 78 in Phoenix, we're sitting below average because our average is at 85. Now for the high temperatures, we're going to be at 103 in Phoenix, but in the northern rim, we're going to stay in the 70s, 76 in Flagstaff, 77 in Window Rock, 96 in Tucson, and 104 in Yuma. Now looking at the state 7-day forecast, 103 on Wednesday, but I'm going to be ending my 7-day forecast on Tuesday, and we are going to see some showers by Tuesday, hitting a high temperature at 91 degrees. From the Cronkite Weather Center, I'm Alexis Leal, Cronkite News.
It still may be above 100 degrees outside, but that isn't stopping kids across the valley from staying cool.
Coming up on Cronkite News, these Arizona children are trading the valley sun for indoor ice. That's up next. I'm Matt Berry, ESPN Sports Center anchor and graduate of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. With its bachelor's and master's degrees in sports journalism, the Cronkite School is preparing the next generation of sports journalists to tell stories that matter, stories that excite, inspire, and inform. Cronkite immerses students in covering sports at all levels in one of the country's top sports markets. It's this hands-on experience under the guidance of award-winning sports media veterans that shape the top journalists of tomorrow.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
Exploring, it's the lifeblood of the mission.
Human beings are a curious bunch.
What are we going to see when we get really close?
Wow.
Just because an idea is crazy, it's not necessarily wrong.
We were on our way.
You don't get anywhere until you've tested the limits.
That carries an intensity you can't imagine.
You could hear people just, whoa.
Oh my God, absolutely spectacular.
It's a rush. We ask a lot of our heroes.
We are at a remarkable moment.
We're going farther than any exploration ever has.
Here at Cronkite News, we have producers who craft shows that make an impact on our community. Our broadcasts allow students to be involved in all levels of production, from producing to directing. We are guided by highly respected professionals who mentor the journalists of tomorrow. From technical directing to teleprompting and beyond, our production crew works tirelessly to produce meaningful and award-winning shows. We are Cronkite News on Arizona PBS.
Even a state filled with cacti and sunshine has caught the hockey bug. Arizona has become one of the fastest growing youth hockey states in the country, and reporter Jake Trybolski explains how.
Arizona is not known for its freezing temperatures, but with youth hockey as popular as ever in the state, more desert kids are heading to the ice.
My favorite part is shooting and stick handling. I like scoring goals.
According to 2018 statistics from USA Hockey, registration for youth hockey in Arizona is up nearly 90% since 2013.
It really is an emphasis that we go out there and grow the game. We are doing as much as we can to get youth involved in the sport.
The state is filled with transplants who have brought the hockey fever with them. An Arizona native and 2016 top NHL draft choice, Austin Matthews, has youngsters believing they too can make it to the league. But perhaps the biggest assist to the growth comes from the Arizona Coyotes. Along with flagship youth programs such as the Little Howlers, the team also sponsors local high school leagues, donates equipment, provides financial support to ice rinks, and has plans to introduce a street hockey PE curriculum to schools.
You shouldn't be trying to get them to
watch hockey, you should get them to play hockey, because if you have a hockey player, you have almost a guaranteed hockey fan. It's not about selling tickets, it's about investing into your community and showing that you care about it.
The team has also partnered with Arizona-born and 2014 U.S. Women's Hockey Olympian Lindsey Fry to create Small Fries, a hockey program designed specifically for girls.
People are excited about this. They see the value in it, and they see that, wow, we're really growing the girls' hockey community from the bottom up, and that's something that's really special.
Lindsey Fry kept calling me smile, 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 smile.
56 young women graduated from the inaugural Small Fries program this summer, adding to the growth of girls hockey in Arizona, something up 31% from a year ago, according to USA Hockey. In Glendale, Jake Trybulski, Cronkite News.
The growth is not limited to kids either. USA Hockey says as a whole, registration is up 109% in Arizona since 2013.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, the Trump administration announces a new policy that bars immigrants from getting green cards if they've used public assistance. And we'll hear from the author of a best-selling book on the intellectual history of the radical right.
I'm Amna Navaz in Santa Barbara, California.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.